So yeah, just got to keep the momentum, keep crushing it, and yeah, sub 67 will come.
Let's go, man!
So the Great North Run is quickly approaching, and this is episode 7 of the sub 67 half marathon project, the series where I'm trying to go under 1 hour and 7 minutes in the half marathon distance, starting with my first attempt at the Great North Run on the 10th of September. A massive thank you to Saw Running for sponsoring this series, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But without further ado, let's get into week 7 of my training. It's been the best week so far, 79 miles in the bank, and yeah, confidence and fitness is feeling good. So yeah, I've got the Strava up. Let's get into this. So guys, started off on the Monday with my standard easy 10-mile run. I did this with some friends from Canterbury Endurance, Donald, Matt Stonia, elite athlete if you like. And we did a nice little loop round Canterbury, through Blean Woods, and then ended off with a bit more of a hill towards the end. So a really decent amount of elevation you can see there, and the pace is just nice and comfortable, nothing too crazy. But the main difference between say myself and say someone like Matt Stonia is when we're going up hills like that, I definitely start to feel the hills a little bit, and he just seems to glide up them like they're nothing, like they're not even there. So that's definitely something I want to work on. I want to get better at running up those hills because he just glides up them, and there's a real difference between us when it comes to running up hills especially. But yeah, I did this in the Asics Gel KR930, a shoe that I'm really enjoying at the moment. And yeah, as you can see, the hills kept the heart rate a little bit higher than I would have liked, but nothing too crazy. And it was a really hot day, so what can you expect? Following the run, I headed straight to the gym and did my S&C. Again, doing some of Benny's Running's core workout. Only about 2/3 of it because it is very tough. But again, working on those adductors and hamstrings because I've still, over the last few weeks, I have had kind of the residual tightness from my hamstring injury. So I'm really trying to work on that and strengthen those hamstrings. I'm hoping at some point to do a strength workout, like part of the video, so you guys can see what I've been doing specifically for that. So I've had a few messages asking about what to do for hamstring tendinopathy, and hopefully I'll be able to talk you through that a little bit more in a future episode. And then moving on to the afternoon, I did a double run. So double runs are going to start becoming a little bit more prominent in this series now. I've kind of got my base mileage back, and I've got that confidence back that my legs can handle it, whereas before I was needing to supplement a lot more with cycling. There's still going to be an element of cycling, but the cycling is going to greatly reduce and the double running is going to greatly increase, just because at the end of the day, I'm a runner. I love to run. I don't love to cycle in the same way. So if I've got the option and there's no real detrimental reason for either, I'm going to pick the run every single time. I did this this new route. I'm calling it the Dorito, this route, because it's like pretty much a triangle. And yeah, it just comes up this nice little new road that's been built recently near my house. So yeah, nothing too crazy there. Again, Puma Forever Up Nitro on the feet there. And again, heart rate was nothing too crazy apart from the last hill, which bit a little bit. But yeah, what can you do? Moving on to the Tuesday, I did a 4K warm-up, and this is the session where I did the hill reps set by Matt Stonia. So I did 4K warm-up. I won't talk about this session in too much detail, just because I've already made an entire video based on this session. But as you can see, 10 by 3 minutes hill session in the On Cloudboom Echo 3. And this one really bit. I think it was a lot harder than I expected it to be, and also it's a lot longer time on feet than I expected it to be as well, because as I mentioned in the video, I knew that 10 by 3 minutes would obviously equal 30 minutes of volume, but what I wasn't taking into consideration is how much time I would spend on feet on the recoveries going back down the hill. So yeah, I pretty much did 10 miles there, just over actually. But really enjoyed the shoe and really enjoyed the session. So it was a massive thank you to Matt for setting me that session. And yeah, it was one of those really like kind of grueling, lots of hard work, and really glad I got it done, and I feel much better for it. I think it's going to only benefit my half marathon. And then I did my standard cool down, nothing too crazy. Then in the evening, I head to the gym, and the plan was to do 60 minutes on the bike, but the gym that I use in Herne Bay, Snap Fitness Herne Bay, all of their bikes are in the studio, so I only managed to get 40 minutes on the bike before we got kicked out of the studio because they were doing a class in there. So I just finished off with 20 minutes on the elliptical, and it's just one of those weird things. I always seem to bump into someone that I know like next to me on the elliptical. So a friend of mine, Lewis, he was already on the elliptical, and I was like, oh, I'll just go and go an elliptical next to him. I don't know what the past tense of elliptical would be, but we ellipticaled together, if you like. So yeah, spin bike, elliptical, they offer the same kind of benefits for me. If anything, the elliptical is a little bit more weight bearing. So you've got to kind of pick and choose what's better for you, especially if you're coming back from injury. You might want to start with the bike, then move to the elliptical, and then move back to running. But for me, this was just about moving the legs a little bit and getting that blood flow to kind of flush through the legs. Moving on to the Wednesday, and again, another easy 10 miles with Donald, Matt, and Alex. And I changed the map on this one because I listened to the Running Three-Way podcast, and Callum was talking about how he changed the elevation map on his Strava, so I just had a little play as well. So that's where that came from. And again, pretty much the same pace, a slightly different route. This one had a much more horrible hill right in the middle of it, down into Charlton, and then along the river, which you can see was really flat, that yellowy bit there. Yeah, with Matt and Alex and DC hanging on the back for dear life. He was struggling a little bit on this one. But yeah, overall heart rate was a little bit higher than I would have liked, but again, the hills just make it so difficult to keep the heart rate low, or at least I find. And I never find that the heart rate is an accurate representation of how I feel most of the time. Quite often I feel like I'm working hard when it says it's low, and sometimes I feel like I'm not working at all when it says it's high. So it's one of those tricky ones. And then yeah, as as I've already mentioned, did S&C, and I was listening to the Run It Three-Way podcast. If you want to give it a listen, go check it out. But yeah, I just really wasn't into this S&C session. It's really, really tricky, I think, sometimes for me to motivate myself to do a session when I've already just done a 10-mile run. But it makes most sense for me, petrol-wise, to go straight to the gym from the run rather than going home and then going back out again. And in this financial climate, got to think of those little things, got to save a little bit of petrol here and there. It all adds up at the end of the day. And then I was going to double on this day, but actually, if I'm honest, on the Wednesday, I just got to the afternoon and I was like, you know what? I feel pretty knackered. No harm in doing nothing else. It's not like I was missing a session. It was only going to be an easy 5-mile run or an hour on the bike. And I just felt pretty tired. So I went, you know what, sack that off. And yeah, just chilled for the rest of the evening, which I'm really glad I did. I think I went for a little walk, but nothing crazy on the legs at all. Just really properly listen to my body, which is something I'm really trying to hone in on. If I'm tired, let the body recover, because at the end of the day, that recovery time is when you're getting those training benefits. So if you're not letting your body recover properly, you're not getting the benefits and adaptations from training. So yeah, I really listened to my body there, and yeah, little pat on the back for me. Moving on to the Thursday, and this was a session I was really, really excited for, and this is the session you're going to see coming towards the end of this video, and this is a 10k tempo. So I did my standard warm-up round the uni, and then I did my session around the uni as well. So this is around the University of Kent, in Kent obviously, but it's based in Canterbury. And each lap is about 2.5k. So yeah, pretty much bang on 10k. So I've put 10k tempo-ish there because towards the end, there's one hill on the route that really does kind of just take you above that kind of tempo pace, or tempo effort, should I say. And with this session, there was one side that was really windy. So you got like headwind and hill on the same side, and then the other side you got flat and tailwind. So one side was quite quick, where I'd go down to like 310 per k, and then one side was like 330 per k, where just the hill and the headwind combined. But yeah, we'll talk about this session in a little bit more detail towards the end of the video, where you can see the actual footage. And then yeah, a nice little 2-mile cool down as well, where I actually had a bit of knee pain on this one, just on the inside of my knee, just around about here. I'm not really sure what that's come from. I think, if I'm honest, I think it's come from the opposite hamstring. So you've got 3 hamstring muscles. The injury that I've had for a long time was my biceps femoris, which is more of an outside hamstring muscle, and this one felt like a bit more of an inside hamstring muscle, semitendinosus or semimembranosus if you're anatomically minded. And then yeah, in the afternoon I did an hour on the bike just to see what the knee pain was feeling like, and it was absolutely fine, so nothing to worry about there. And I was really happy that it went away. But I just put on some trashy kind of YouTube or Netflix, and got an hour done on the bike before dinner, and I was very hungry. But yeah, then moving on to the Friday, I was going to rest, and then Matt and Donald said that they were going for a 5-miler and just have a nice catch up. Like Matt obviously goes back to uni soon, and then I go back to uni soon, so I really want to spend time with my mates while they're about, And we said we were just going to kind of plod. So we kind of did plod, but half the route is uphill, half the route is downhill. So on the downhill we made up a lot of time, and then we headed out for breakfast afterwards. So I'll put some pictures up of what we ate. So yeah, just really nice and easy. Nothing kind of beneficial about this run other than it's a bit of time on feet, and using it as a bit of a recovery run to flush the legs out before the Saturday session. But yeah, apart from that, nothing crazy. and then went to the gym straight after breakfast. And yeah, as you can see, calves and core, that was the main focus. I really worked on my calves, lots of calf raises, lots of plyometrics, that sort of thing. And this actually really bit when it came to the Saturday session. I could feel that I'd done the S&C the day before. So maybe I went a little bit too hard on the S&C this time. So maybe the kind of a note to self in the future. So yeah, then it moved on to the Saturday. So I did my standard 2 mile warm up. And then the session I did 20 times 400, and I tried to do diminishing rest, where I did 5 off of 60 seconds rest, 5 off of 45 seconds rest, 5 off 30 seconds rest, and then I tried to do 5 off 15 seconds rest, but that 15 seconds rest just was not long enough. I was puffing out of my backside and just felt dreadful from start to finish, and it all stemmed from my calves just feeling like they'd been a little bit overworked the day before. I just had no real like explosive toe off, anything like that, if that makes sense. One of those sessions that I got it done, but it didn't feel good doing it. It's only going to help me in the long run, the fact that I was able to get through a session like that that's so mentally kind of grueling and tricky. But yeah, did I enjoy it? Absolutely not. And yeah, only got the S&C the day before to blame, I think, for that one. But yeah, as you can see, I just wrote at the bottom of the caption there, just when you feel it's all coming together, you get humbled big time. And that's exactly how I felt. The other 2 sessions this week had been really good ones, and then this one just felt absolutely dreadful. So yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, I wish I could have gone a little bit quicker on those splits. Even though it did feel like I was training in a rainforest for that session, just because of the heat and the humidity, but we got it done. Then I went home and just did a core workout in the early evening / late afternoon. So just did half an hour of core there. Didn't fancy doing an entire S&C session. And then just did an hour on the bike while I watched the start of the World Champs Athletics, which was very, very exciting. I think on this first day we had one of the 10Ks. It might have been the women's 10K, 10,000. I think that's what I was watching primarily. Or 1500 meter heats or something like that. So yeah, that really helped pass the time while I was on the bike there. And then we moved on to my longest run of the block, which is this Sunday long run, where I did 17 miles. This is the longest I've done in a very, very long time. And I did it with a friend, Michael Morby, who's ran 2:45 or 2:40 for the marathon. So he's absolutely no slouch, and it was really nice to have a good catch up because I haven't seen Mike in such a long time. He's coming back from a stress fracture. 17 miles in the bank there through the lovely woods of Canterbury and Blean. Yeah, overall really happy with how this run went. All the splits were pretty kind of close together, pretty consistently paced. Some of the hills did bite a little bit just from, you know, the fatigue of a full training week. But we got it done, and yeah, went straight out for breakfast, had some jacket potato, beans, avocado, mushrooms, all of that good stuff. And that's really been something that I've been trying to work on. This training block is really fueling much better. In the past, I've been much more lax with my diet, eating worse foods or foods that don't offer me as much nutritional value, or opting for not eating than eating something bad, if that makes sense. And I think you should always eat rather than not eat if there's an option. But obviously trying to make some more smart decisions, be a little bit more cognizant when it comes to making decisions about my food. And that's something I've really tried to work on this block. It's probably been one of the biggest changes. So I'm eating a lot more things like potatoes rather than pasta. I don't know if there's any science behind it, but just things I've read online suggest that potatoes and things like fish is better than red meat and things like that. So just the kind of the bog standard stuff you've probably heard in newspapers or science things over the last few years where they change their mind every season. But yeah, I've been eating a lot more fish, a lot more simple carbs, things like potatoes, and then a lot more veg, things like mushrooms, etc. So guys, that is the end of week 7 in terms of my week of training. Just before we head into my 10K tempo, just a massive thank you to Soar for sponsoring this video series. Honestly, I've been wearing this kit for this training, has been just an absolute godsend. It's really, really helped me, especially when it's been training like in a rainforest in England at the moment, where one day it tips it down with rain, and then the next day the sun comes out and then you're just absolutely sweating. Having something that is really top quality, breathable, like the Soar running kit that I've been wearing, has just been an absolute godsend. And I would hate to see what I'd look like at the end of a session in like a cotton t-shirt, for example. If you want to run good, you got to feel good and you got to look good. And that is definitely something that I found with the Soar kit. It just makes me feel, I think I've said it before, but it makes me feel upper echelon when I put it on, like that, just that top quality, ready to race, ready to crush training. And yeah, a massive thank you to Soar Running. Go check out their website, pick up some bits and bobs, especially their speed shorts if you're a massive fan of half tights. or their marathon split shorts. If you want shorts that can hold up to, I think it's 8 to 12 gels on their shorts, it's absolutely ridiculous. So something that I'm definitely going to utilize in the future. Hint, hint. But yeah, without further ado, I hope you enjoy this tempo session with DC on the bike. It's very Sweat Elite style, very raw. Me running, me working hard, and yeah, I hope you enjoy. So guys, I'm here in Canterbury ready for a 10k tempo or a 6-mile tempo, 6 and a bit. I'm really trying to focus on doing a little bit more kind of half marathon specific stuff. I feel like in the past I've basically kind of done the same sessions regardless of the distance that I'm racing, which will get me fit to a level, but then if I really want to kind of take my running to the next level and make my training really specific and kind of thrive in the distance, if that makes sense, I need to start doing more specific sessions. So each Thursday, as you guys know, I've been gradually increasing the amount of time I'm tempoing for. So the longest I've done so far is 30 minutes. And then today, being at like a full 10k, I imagine it'll be about 33, 34, just because it's pretty windy today, so we'll see. And also because I've been doing it on a treadmill. Treadmill's always a bit quicker, right? Just because there's no wind resistance or hills. So I'm just getting changed into my shoes ready to warm up. Then I'm going to warm up, and then DC or Donald is going to come and wait for me at the end of my warm up, and then he'll come with me for the tempo. So he should be able to get some good footage today, and yeah, hopefully have a good tempo. I'm feeling a little bit DOMS ridden. Does that make sense? A little bit filled with DOMS. So a little bit achy after we did 10 miles yesterday morning with Matt Stonier and Alex Millard, so 2 local pros, if you like, and we did a pretty hilly route, so I'm just gonna say my glutes are feeling the hills, and then S&C just kind of added to the DOMs already. So yeah, gonna get changed into my warm-up shoes, and we'll get going. Right, let's go. Right,
Let's go, man!
Oh, he has gone. That's right. Well, it's just about staying that rate. That's why I used to like tempo, because even when you feel awful, if you stay the right kind of heart rate zone, you're going to be the same as normal, because you're going to have to run a bit slow anyway.
through here, but
Yeah.
I'm out.
Well, it's headwind. It's big headwind. Woo! Cars are fine. Stay relaxed. He's back a few seconds if need be. Looks good car wise. How far? Okay.
3/4 of a mile.
Yeah, okay. Woohoo! Alright, you're right. Done me around the bend. How much further? Morning.
So guys, that is tempo-ish done. That there's one hill with headwind, and then there's a big flat with tailwind, so it's like fluctuating between 330 per k and 310 per k, but it's averaging out about 320-ish. So same pace as I was roughly doing on the treadmill. Working a little bit harder naturally because I'm outside with the wind and the terrain. Wasn't quite in the threshold. Felt like I could have carried on if I needed to. And yeah, overall, really chuffed with that. Those sorts of sessions are sessions I haven't been doing in other training blocks, like just 10k at a good effort. So starting to get towards that half marathon sort of distance. So yeah, just got to keep the momentum, keep crushing it, and yeah, sub 67 will come. I'm not sure if I found it more tiring or if DC found it more tiring.
Oh, it's not hot in here as well.
Yeah, it was roasty toasty.
My arse. Tell sun head like for a while.
Oh.
Done.
So guys, that's tempo done, 10k in 3:19 per k average. So yeah, really chuffed with that. I didn't know if I'd be able to sustain that pace because it's very windy and there is a bit of a hill on one part of the course. But obviously hills are kind of part of racing, unfortunately, so it's something that I can't really avoid in training if I want to be good at them when it comes to race day. So yeah, overall very chuffed. You can see from the paces as well, like the Ks that had the hill in, like 3:25, 3:16, 3:19, and then the hill again, 3:25, 3:14, 3:19, 3:15, 3:16, and then the hill again, 3:26. So yeah, not too much overall elevation because there is only one hill on that loop. But yeah, overall really chuffed with it. I did the session in the On Cloud Boom Echo 3s. This is my second session in them. I just wanted to see how they did over a longer distance, over a longer period of time. And let's just say I've definitely got a big decision to make when it comes to shoes for the Great North Run race. But we'll talk about that probably in a future episode. One thing I would say about these shoes, and it's something that I heard on the Run It 3-Way podcast as well, Callum and Ben having a similar issue, is the durability ever so slightly starting to wear a little bit on the outside. But as it says on the box, like they're only meant to last for 4 marathons, so it's kind of what you expect really. It's so lightweight and so fast as a shoe that you've got to have some sort of sacrifice, and that is in the durability, unfortunately. But it's so lightweight, it's ridiculous. But yeah, overall really chuffed with that session. Managed to get it done. Thank you to DC for coming on the bike and helping film some content for you guys. But yeah, anyway, please like, subscribe, share with your running buddies. Love the pain, and yeah, training's going well. See you in episode 8. Bye bye.